You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
A judge is extending an order that keeps gender-affirming care in place at Rady Children's Health through June 24th. John Fink reports.
San Diego Superior Court Judge Matthew Branner said Monday he needs more time to decide whether to issue a broader injunction, while making it clear he's unlikely to order the return of gender surgeries. Attorney General Rob Bonta sued after Rady scaled back care in January, saying the hospital system must keep providing medication and support services under a merger approved last year. Rady says it worries about federal funding and safety threats tied to the issue.
Comedian Rosie O'Donnell is drawing attention after questioning a reported assassination attempt involving Donald Trump, suggesting in a video it may not have happened as described. Authorities say a suspect was arrested near the White House Correspondent Association's dinner with weapons and an agent that was injured but survived. The incident and reactions to it highlight ongoing divisions over political rhetoric and public trust. Most Americans think it's a bad time to try and buy a home.
2/3 of Americans say high prices and high mortgage rates make this a bad time to buy a home. 65% think home prices will continue to rise, but some cities may see price drops. Only 25% of non-home owners predicted that they would be buying a house in the next 5 years. That's a record low. 45%, almost half, do not plan on buying a home in the foreseeable future. I'm Rory O'Neill.
I'm Ron Warner, USA Radio News.
You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle. Call 800-209-4580 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's Dependable Lock Services, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Grosvenor.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives. If it's Wednesday night in Nashua, New Hampshire, or anywhere on the Eastern Coast, it's the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. Joined by my co-host, Colonel Chris Wyatt, in his home studio there in Central PA. And, of course, John Grosvenor in the actual studio in downtown Nashua, holding down the studio. John, how are you, sir?
I am doing well, Todd. You know, same old here in New Hampshire, enjoying our freedoms. Well, what we have
There you
left of
go.
them anyway.
Right. There you go. Colonel, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. We've, of course, taxes are filed, but we're still working for the man. We work, till the end of May now before we start making money for ourselves under this tax regime in America, but I'm doing all right.
Right, absolutely. Well, tonight I am wearing my Kentucky Colonel shirt, so you should probably address me as Colonel as well. I'm just throwing it out there.
Is that the Colonel's special recipe? What is that?
Finger looking good, my friend. There you go. We do have a guest tonight, and before bringing him on, he is running for Sullivan County, Tennessee mayor, which is kind of unique. Sullivan County, Tennessee, named for John Sullivan, who was one of the earliest governors of New Hampshire, by the way. They called him presidents back then. He was a two-term president of New Hampshire. And, of course, there's several counties across the Northeast, New York, and a few other places, Tennessee being one place, named after John Sullivan. And, of course, I hope he wins mayor. You can find out more about him on Elect Zane Vanover for Sullivan County Mayor on Facebook, or ZaneVanoverForMayor.com is his website. You can find out more about him. But if he's ready there, John, if you want to bring him in, that'd be great to... There we go, Zane Vanover. Zane, how do you hear me, sir?
I hear you fine, Todd.
There we go. You want to switch on your camera, or if you want to just go with voice, that's all right, too.
I've tried. I don't think I've got the skills to do that.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll go with voice because we are a radio show, and of course we stream around the world. But real quick, if you give everybody an introduction to who you are, and then we'll get into some nitty gritty of some Q&A if you don't mind.
Hey, Todd, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm Zane Vanover. I'm a candidate for Sullivan County Mayor. I grew up in Sullivan County. I was a teacher in Sullivan County for 15 years. I was a football coach, a head baseball coach. I was fortunate to have Todd as one of my students and baseball players. In 1998, we had a pretty tragic accident on our farm where my brother-in-law was killed on a tractor accident. So I stepped away from teaching then and became a farmer, and I've been farming since 1998. We farmed cattle and hay and corn with a little agritourism thrown in. 4 years ago, I ran for county commission and was lucky enough to win. And now I see an opportunity to serve our county as county mayor. So very much looking forward to that. Early voting will be over tomorrow, and the primary will be Tuesday. So very much looking forward to that. And I tell people the reason I want to be mayor is I want to serve. I want to serve our citizens of our county and try to make it a better place for our people to live and make people's lives better. So
there we go. A good reason to run for sure. And I know you've had a lot of headaches, a lot of attacks from your opponent. We alluded to that last week. Unwarranted attacks for sure. But here's what I want to say before we go around the horn for some Q&A. I want to say the way you've handled this has been truly, above board, very professional. I know you probably had to bite your tongue many, many times. And to me, it shows a type of person that I would want to vote for and, of course, support as mayor. And, of course, I've already voted for you. But you're the type of person that we need in county government at the local level, because you think about this, the local government is what affects the people the most immediate, if you will. And of course, mayor can affect a lot of things throughout the county that people deal with on a daily basis. So I just want to throw that out there and to tell you thank you for being above board, not swinging at pitches in the dirt, and just doing the right thing throughout.
Thank you, Todd. And I tell people also that our Sullivan County Commission and our mayor probably has more effect on your pocketbook than Donald Trump or anyone in Washington does. So I hope people in Sullivan County are looking very closely at this election. I've been disgusted with politics, as a lot of people have for the last several years. I hate the negativity. I hate the backbiting. I hate the slander. And when I decided to run for mayor, one of my main goals was to try to show people can run a good campaign and can get elected by doing the right thing. And I tell people now, with the election coming to an end, that if I'm successful and the way I've ran my campaign leads to a victory, then I think we can put an end to a lot of this negativity. But if the opponent wins, we're going to have a lot more of it, and it's
Right.
going to not be good for our county.
Absolutely. For some of the listeners and viewers out there, you know, a lot of people that are behind this are actually from Washington, D.C. I remember Congress is kind of behind some of this, and we won't get into that. I just want to leave that statement up front. You know, you're doing a heck of a job, and I'll turn it over to the Colonel. I know he has got a few questions for you. He's got an awesome style here, Zane. So just be aware.
Good.
Go ahead, Colonel.
All right. Well, first off, curious about the attacks outside Sullivan County. We've probably not heard about these, but what sort of thing is happening to you? I mean, I know I ran for the state legislature here in Pennsylvania a couple years ago, and the dirty underhand tricks. I'm here. I don't think you can hear us.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how to do a mic check on that one. Can you or can you not hear us, Zane? I don't think he can hear us. You may have to go out and come back in. You go text him there, Todd?
Yeah. I'll give him a quick ring. You guys go ahead and talk real quick.
All right.
All right. John, what's your favorite color?
Oh, my favorite color is green, because it is the color of money.
I think he's back on here now.
Zane, are you there? No.
Must be bad connection. Yeah, maybe
I'll
we'll
try
drop
taking him out and bring him back in. Maybe
see if that works.
Tech stuff, radio show host, tech guy. You know how it goes.
I suspect it's probably a bad signal in his area. I don't think that's going to make a difference.
I don't think it is.
Nope, I don't think he's there. All right, so now we're like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bueller?
Yeah, we are. So there's
Bueller?
a lot going. There is a lot going on, Chris. I mean, there are things going on. I mean. An actual king showed up in the country here a day or so ago, and I see no protest out in the street. Do you?
That was my comment. You know, the Democrats running around going, "No kings, no kings," and then actual king comes and they're basically licking his boots.
Zane has shown himself muted.
Oh yes.
I didn't see it before. It looks like it popped up though that he's muted.
Text me the call-in number. We'll just have him call.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll just tell it to you 603.
Okay.
I gave you the wrong one. 816.
Not like it's a state secret.
Yeah, right. 1590.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. I think he unmuted himself. I think he accidentally muted himself.
I could have. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Well, that's all right. You know, here's the thing: we don't elect mayors to be the best on Facebook and savvy on things like that. I can tell you that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, are we ready to go then? All right, let's start this again. So I was going to ask one question, but let me go back to another question here. Zane, I'm a little confused. I mean, I don't think many of us are accustomed to having a mayor for a county. Usually we have a county supervisor. Mayors are for towns. Is Sullivan County that small or that big that you need a mayor? What's the deal with that?
They were called county administrators at one time, and it's been changed now to kind of match our cities. But every county in Sullivan County now has a mayor. Some used to be called county executive or county judge at one time. But now in Tennessee, they're all called county mayors.
Well, that solves that problem for our audience. We have a lot of folks around the world because some of us are scratching their head going, okay, wait, is he running for the city? Is he running for the county? Okay, we got it. All right. So there was a mention, Todd was talking about some of your opponents have been rather nasty. I ran for the state legislature here in Pennsylvania a couple years ago, and I was really dismayed. I mean, I knew politics was dirty, but I didn't know it was this dirty at the local level. I thought that was just more at the national races, but I was really disappointed in the Republican Party and the behavior of other candidates stealing signs, telling lies, sending volunteers out to polling stations to lie to elderly people, telling them that I supported abortion, telling them that I was in favor of all these other things. Utterly ridiculous. But what sort of things have underhanded has been happening in your campaign?
Colonel, we've had a lot of that, a lot of nasty flyers trying to depict me as a Democrat or a liberal, which is nothing farther from the truth. I've been proven I'm a bona fide Republican. I voted in the last 15 Republican primaries. I've always been a very conservative person. But I think my opponent doesn't have much of a substance to stand on. So when you don't, you put out a million signs, you lie about your opponent, and you try to create something that's not factual. And that's what's happened. That's what's happened.
Yeah, no, it's really sad to see that when people twist the narrative. I am also going through something similar like that, unrelated to politics. So, a number of folks are curious about what sort of farming you into. Are you a cattle farmer? Are you a crop farmer? What's going on there?
Our family had a dairy farm until 1998. We milked a lot of cows. We milked 150 Holstein cows until 1998. That's when the accident occurred on the farm when my brother-in-law was killed. And shortly after that, we switched over to beef cattle and hay and corn. And we have done a little agritourism in the past. We've got a very good location here on the city limits of Kingsport. So mostly now just beef cattle and hay and corn. And
Well, I
I
certainly
tell people, a farmer is probably one of the best people to balance a budget there ever was, or a farmer's
That's right.
wife, possibly.
Well, I got to tell you, Zane, that's the thing that always kills me when people talk about farmers that don't know about farming. You often get this derisive look like farmers aren't that bright, but our farmers are experts in agronomy, in soil, in weather, meteorology, breeding, genetics, finance, business leadership, management, budgeting. All these are things that you have to have a successful farm. And even if you don't have a successful farm, you still got to have skill at that just to survive for a while. But I certainly appreciate the switch from dairy to beef. I was a dairy farmer in my youth, and we had jerseys. And while I loved it, it was a lot of work, and I'm not so sure there's a lot of reward there, but certainly learned an awful lot. One thing for me, Zane, is that working on farms certainly taught me the value of hard work and respect for our environment. I imagine you have the same sort of thoughts.
But every day's come an IQ test on a farm. You mentioned all the skills that a farmer needs, but plumbing, electrician, tax accountant, lawyer, negotiator, sheriff, all those things kind of come into play too. So I've never had 2 days that have been exactly alike on the farm in my life. Every day is a new challenge, a new opportunity to learn something and to try to make things better.
So what are the biggest challenges facing Sullivan County? What's the things you're most concerned about going forward? You guys have an issue with urbanization or overpopulation or people flooding in from elsewhere, changing the culture. What are you guys facing there?
Well, all of those things, Colonel, but we're a very unique county. We're a county that has 3 cities within our county: Kingsport, Bristol, Bluff City. Our county seat is actually unincorporated in the middle of our county, and our population centers are on the edges of our county. We actually have 4 school systems in our county. I don't think any other county in our state has at least 3 school systems. We have 4. So we've got challenges. Our ADA for schools have to be split 4 ways. We have to be concerned about the challenges of our cities that are on the outskirts of our county, and also look out for the rural part of our county. And we are facing some growth issues. Tennessee is the second most moved state in the country. So we're getting a lot of people moving in here. Our growth is kind of taking off. Our airport we've outgrown our airport. We've built 2 parking lots. We're building a parking garage. Our infrastructure can't keep up with what it needs to be for the growth. If we're not careful, we're going to wind up like some of the counties around Nashville, and they'll look up one day and be $1 billion in debt for building roads and schools and jails, which we're building one now. So I tell people growth is a big issue. We have to let our growth pay for our growth. We can't just react to it. We have to plan for it. We've got to get our infrastructure in place, and we've got to be thinking about that now. We've done some things. We've improved our intersections. We've done some more paving than we've had before. We're very involved in recycling because our landfills are becoming full. So we've got a lot of growth challenges. We've got some addiction problems in our county. We've got some mental health problems in our county. Our school systems, as Todd can tell you, are facing challenges that they never faced before with vouchers, private schools, home schools. 90% of our kids will go to public schools, so we have to be real careful about supporting our public schools, make sure we support our teachers, and still while having all the challenges that we have to face.
Well, if it's a question of people moving in the state, I guess that makes you second behind Florida, which is getting a large number of relocations. But if that's true, I blame Robbie Starbuck. He brought them all from California. They're following him.
I like Robbie. Robbie's a friend, or a good acquaintance, I should say.
I'm going to blame him for all the Californians moving out there.
Right.
But it sounds like you've got problems that a lot of rural counties seem to be having with influx of people coming from elsewhere that will change the character and nature of the very environment you have. Here in central Pennsylvania, I can see it all around me. I moved to near a small town in a township, and the growth is explosive. And it seems like the people here running the county are all about the dollar signs and not about the infrastructure. And our quality of life continues to degrade on a daily basis. I hope that's not the future for Sullivan County.
Well, when you get to looking at the dollar signs and not thinking about the planning for the future, you're in a lot of trouble. And I think that's what happened in a lot of our counties around Nashville. They started looking at the dollar signs and trying to bring in growth, but they weren't prepared for it. And I'm very adamant about making our growth pay for our growth. We've got to take some time, step back, reevaluate. We need to get back into the infrastructure business a little bit better. We need to get back into the sewer business. Now, if we want to provide services such as sewer, we have to ask one of our cities to annex it because they're in the sewer business. We're not. We've got to get back into the sewer business. We don't have enough water volume in places. We've got some places that don't even have public water in our county. And we're working with our grant coordinator to try to get grants to put public water in some places we don't have. Our budget, we had one of our first budget meetings tonight, and I made a statement at our budget meeting, if you don't have the money, you can't spend it. And even if you do have the money, you don't have to spend it. So we've got to be very fiscally responsible with our dollars. And I also made the statement we've got to separate our needs from our wants. We've not done that in the past very well. You need to fund education. You need to fund our highway department. We need to fund our sheriff's department. Other things we don't have to fund. So I think that's the key to our budget is separating our needs from our wants. And that's what we're going to do going forward.
Well, I certainly appreciate that and understand that, separating needs from wants. I mean, I want a Q7 from Audi, but I need to fix the wheel bearings in the rear of my Chrysler, or I'm going to be walking everywhere starting tomorrow. So needs and wants, and certainly that's a sound approach. Just because we have money doesn't mean you spend it, and if you don't have money, don't spend it. And I'm going to guess saying that I see that you're a father and a grandfather, and I suspect that you don't want to burden your generations behind your progeny with a debt that's unsustainable because of irresponsible decisions in the present.
I do not, and I want to be able to provide jobs for my children. My children have good jobs; they're good. I worry about the grandchildren. We've got to bring jobs into this county, and there's two ways to do that. Most jobs are created through existing businesses, so we have to incentivize our existing businesses to bring in jobs. Cutting regulations, cutting taxes on them. And you've got to go out and be a recruiter to bring in new jobs. I think I've done some of that in the past, and I think I'm very well equipped to bring in jobs that'll keep my grandchildren here, give them good, high-paying jobs. We've got an aerospace park at our airport that is on the prefaces of really some new technology, some things that can bring in some good, high-paying jobs. We're looking to do an offloading facility in another place to bring in some good jobs through the railroad and offloading trucks and trailers. So we're on the prefaces really of bringing in some good things. So that's why I want to be mayor. I want to follow through on some of those projects and make sure we have those good jobs for our grandchildren.
Well, Zane, you talk about serving, and I certainly, and Todd can appreciate that. We've served in uniform for decades. We got over half a century and then some between us. So we appreciate that. Was there a seminal moment? Was there an event that kind of made you go, you know what? I need to do this. I need to run for mayor.
I think once I ran for county commission and I saw the opportunity that's available for people to serve and to try to help people. I feel like I've done that in our district. Todd has done it on the school board. And once you get a taste of being able to serve and help people, I've been thinking, what if I could do that countywide? And I'd like to serve the entire county as I've served in one district. So I've asked myself several times, do I think I can do that? And I think I can.
Yeah, Zane is actually my county commissioner. We have 3 commissioners in our district. I don't want to speak ill of them because they're not here to defend themselves. But he is the only commissioner in our district, from my standpoint, that I've seen really do a lot of work. I'm not saying the others haven't done things. I'm not going to say that about them. But he's the one that people go to. People from other districts actually call him. They reach out to him and say, they'll say, call Zane. He's a guy who can get things done. He knows what's going on. He'll know who to call. And people reach out to him throughout our county for sure.
Well, that's Todd. I think the reason for that is you've got to be the person that people want to work with. I think
Absolutely.
you got to get people's trust. I think you got to know that you've got their backs and they've got your back, and you've got to be someone that's a good negotiator, a good collaborator, and someone that other people can trust. So,
absolutely,
I feel very strongly about that. And I think that's a trait that I can bring to the mayor's office.
Well, and that's exactly where I was going to go. You kind of stole my thunder there. That's a great segue. I was going to say, from your experience as a commissioner, what skills do you think you picked up there, or inside knowledge about the job as mayor, that's going to make you a better mayor?
That's relationships. I think if I've got one strength in my life, I think it's having relationships with people, fostering those relationships to be able to use in the future for the good of the county. I've been involved with a lot of people through the years, and I can't think of one person that I've done business with I couldn't call back and do more. And it goes both ways. I'll be willing to do the same for them.
Well, Zane, I'm looking at all this development around me, and I'm exasperated, and I'm not overly thrilled with it. And so I'm looking for greener pastures, and Wyoming has always been on my list. But what would make me want to come to Sullivan County with you as mayor? Is there an attraction there for me? We got some good, reasonable price land. Is it beautiful vistas, good governance?
Mm-hmm.
What would make me want to come there?
Taxes are low. We got very low taxes. I hear people sometimes complain about their property taxes. We did a reassessment last year, and some people's property taxes went up, $100, $200. But then I hear people who've moved here from up north, and they say, well, my taxes now are $1,800 a year. Where I was $8,800 a year. Wow. So taxes are low. People are friendly. Traffic is not bad. If you have a commute, it's probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get to work. I think we've had good government. Our county's been run well for a long time. Our schools are strong. Our streets are safe. Our finances are strong. People are, and I'm really amazed at how people comment who move here about how friendly people are.
Right.
And they say they wave at you for no reason. And we do.
Yeah.
Guilty
That's
of that
true.
myself. I just when growing up, you drive down the road, you wave to people driving. I mean, I get one thing waving on the street, but I still, and people think I'm crazy, but I suppose it sounds like Sullivan County's a place for me.
It's a good place to live. It's anytime I go on vacation or go on a trip, the best part's always coming home. And it's beautiful vistas, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
We've got two of the best trout streams in the country running through Sullivan County, which brings a lot of tourists in. We've got a NASCAR racetrack, which brings in a lot of tourism. We've got excellent schools. We've got everything I think people could want to come and live. It's a retirement community, but it's also a community that people want to move to get away from overtaxation, from over-regulation, and people come here to be left alone, and that's what we try to do if that's what they want to do.
Well, Zane, it sounds like a very appealing place. I mean, the only challenge, I think, is you've got Todd. I have to reassess this decision.
What are you going to do?
Well,
I was wondering.
We're proud to have him. We're proud to have him here too.
I was wondering if you actually allow carpetbaggers down there.
The good ones we do, yes.
Yeah, the Colonel's welcome. John, we're going to keep an eye on you.
I'm also from the South, John, originally. So let's not get carried away. Just have a Midwest accent. That's because I was shuttled around the country.
I grew up in Florida there, Todd. I'm okay. I'm Southern raised.
All right,
I get it.
all right. We'll allow it. We'll allow
It's
it.
good to see you.
You can have my gun when you pry it from a cold dead hand. You know how it goes.
So you guys have heard it here. John Grosvenor is from Cuba North. Now we know. Anyway, Zane. So back to Zane, our guest. We forgot all about Zane there for a moment. Hey, Zane, sorry about that. But so let me ask you a little more about your campaign here. How's it going? I mean, are you fine? Is this this is the first time you run for mayor? So what's it like? Are you able to canvass all over? I see on your Facebook campaign page a lot of testimonials. People say why they're going to vote for you and why they believe in you.
Well, it's a big county, and I haven't really realized how big the county is until I've been trying to go from one end to the other of it. In a straight line, I think if you could fly from one end to the other in an airplane, it's 95 miles from one end to the other. And if you go by road, we've got, I think, 900 miles of roads in Sullivan County. So it's a huge county. It's a very diverse county. Like I said, we've got rural in the middle. We've got urban on the outskirts. And I've learned from campaigning that, you've got to recognize the differences in this county. People have different priorities, they've got different needs, but you've got to govern fairly for the whole county. And I've never seen a place, I've never heard of another place that's this diverse, really. Like I said, we've got an unincorporated county seat. We've got 3 cities that are on the outskirts of a county. We've got 4 school systems. We've got people who work in industry. We've got people who have created their own businesses. We've got about everything you can think of in this county. And I think that's one of the challenges, but that's one thing I love about it. We're diverse. We're very different. Everywhere you go, there's different priorities, there's different concerns, there's different suggestions. But I think that's one thing that makes us stronger.
Well, it certainly sounds like an appealing place, and I appreciate why you're running for the office. I understand that. So what about your grandkids? I'll ask you a personal question here. Do they know granddad's running for office for that position? And what are they saying?
They had the best commercial, by the way.
They wanted to do a commercial for me, so they practiced for about a month. They wrote a script.
It was great.
They made a microphone. They made a camera, and they called me Bubba, and they interviewed Bubba, and they wanted to know what my platform was. They asked some pretty tough questions to be 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. But I've got a grandson. I've actually taken him with me, knocking on a few doors. He's 8, and he's really cute. He's too pretty to be a boy, really. And if a lady comes to the door and they see him, they make him sandwiches, they make him drinks, they pack him a lunch to go with us to the next trip. So they've been my secret weapon, really.
I love it.
Well, did they ever offer any of you guys sweet tea when you show up?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, then you know it's a real deal.
I've eaten several meals in people's houses with those grandkids, so they're definitely a secret weapon.
Well, that's some dirty, underhanded politics by the candidate here. Bring out the sympathy vote.
Right. Yeah, that's a good
don't give my secret weapon away, please.
Well, I think you just did that on air, but that's all right. So it's this is not an easy thing to do. I mean, have you had, other than some dirty, underhanded tactics by opponents, have you had any frustrations? I know that when I ran for the state legislature, I visited 3,000 houses, and that's something else. Until you've done that, and that's on foot. Until you've done that, I don't think people realize what it takes in retail politics to get out there and run for office. What do you say about that, Zane?
Well, I'm glad you said that. I've got an app on my phone about knocking on doors. I just hit 3,500 today.
Wow!
And that's been a door knocking. Is very hard. I know Todd's done it also. I've gone with him once or twice. And you just never know when you open that door or someone opens that door what you're going to get. 90% of the time, it's a great experience. 10 times, you'll get the door slammed in your face. You may even get dog bitten. I've been dog bitten twice.
Oh, wow.
So far this time. I don't like to do that. I think it's kind of imposing on people, but it's very rewarding most of the time. And it's probably been, Todd, I'll share this with you, and I know you know how it is, but it's probably been the hardest thing I've ever done, because when someone attacks me No, I put a target on my back when I started this. I knew I was going to, and I'm fair game. I can handle it. But
Right.
my daughters and my grandchildren, they'll see a negative flyer comparing me to Joe Biden or Kamala Harris,
Yep.
or saying I've raised people's property taxes when I haven't.
Right.
And,
Hasn't done anything close to it.
and you come home and they're crying and they say, why are they saying this? And why are they saying this about you? We know it's not true. And you just, it's hard to say that, they're just not being truthful. They're lying about you.
Right.
And then they want to know, what can we do? Do we want to go beat somebody up, or do we want to make
No.
another post to respond, or what do
Right.
we do? And like I said, I'm fair game. I've asked for it. I can handle it, but it just hurts you to see them hurt.
Yeah, his opponent, by the way, serves on the school board with me. I'll say serves in quotations there. But she's also, or her whole campaign is under investigation from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. That's our state Bureau of Investigation. And it looks like it may become a federal investigation very soon. The people that are behind her, like I said, is our current congresswoman. And, I guess her husband got charged with some campaign issues recently, the last election, where her son ran. I'm not bringing him into it, by the way, but he had some charges that got dropped, and of course he actually had a felony many years ago, and of course he basically bought and paid for a pardon, from what I hear. I can't say for certain that it was bought and paid for. I'll preface it with that, but a pardon from Donald Trump, by the way, just so you know, and that this is kind of what they're relying on. The ensconcements with Washington D.C., which your local races shouldn't have anything to do with what's going on in Washington. What's going on here in Sullivan County should be separate from what's going on in D.C., because we don't want D.C. in Sullivan County. We want more Sullivan County in Washington, than vice versa. And Zane's a breath of fresh air is not going to bring Washington to our backyards for sure.
Well, Zane, one of the reasons I asked questions about your motivation for doing this is that what I realized, and I kind of suspected, but it was confirmed by running for the state legislature, is there's a reason why it's so hard to get good moral people to run for office, because the nasty behavior, and it just becomes so exasperating to see the behavior of these people who are just in it for naked political power or for the benefits. Pennsylvania has the third highest paying legislature. Every member of the House makes $100,000 a year, and
Wow.
they get lifetime health benefits after a couple terms. And I can see that most of these people do it for that very reason, not because they're committed conservatives. And it really frustrated me to see that sort of thing. So from my perspective, finding good, upstanding, moral people to take a stand to be a politician is tough. It sounds to me like you're one of those people. It's a good, moral, upstanding person. And so it has to be a bit of a challenge for you. Now, I'm also in elected office. I'm a judge of elections, but you've got a more important role as commissioner. So you've got a taste of this. But do you see the same thing with it's hard to get good people to run because of what happens?
Oh, you're exactly right, and I've said it several times. When good people choose to run for office, and then bad people lie about them and say things that aren't true, then uninformed people believe it. Then good people don't get elected sometimes.
Absolutely.
And that's what's hurt our system, and that's what that's. And I guess you've got a choice when you run for office. Do you want to go tit for tat with everything they say? And I've not done that. And one reason I ran, like I said earlier, is I wanted to show people that someone could run a good, clean campaign. I've been disgusted with politics, as I said. And if I don't do anything else in this campaign, I hope I can show people that someone can do things right. They can campaign on their own merits. They can campaign on what I'm going to do for you, not how bad your opponent is, not slander your opponent. And I think if I show that my way is successful, we can put an end to some of this negativity. We can put an end to this slander. We can put an end to this DC politics.
Yep.
But if my opponent was to win, I think we're going to see a lot more of it, and it's just going to get really, really bad in the future. So
Yep.
That's my motivation, and I think that's why I'm here. I think that's why God put me here. I feel that way, and we'll leave it all up to Him.
Well, you certainly might have the opportunity to end it in Sullivan County, but unfortunately, we can't end that nastiness elsewhere. We're still trying to do it. I'll tell you, Zane, you're running for a position that's going to take you full time, But if the Pennsylvania state legislature met for 6 or 8 weeks a year and paid no more than $10,000 plus travel expenses, I guarantee you that probably only 2 of the people, the 7 candidates in my race, would have been running. I would have been one of them.
Right.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And people need to run for office with a servant heart. They want to be there to try to make people's lives better. We've got some of those people in our county. We've got some people who are not there for that reason. And hopefully this election will sort them out and let people see who's who, and hopefully the good people will get elected and the bad ones won't.
Well, as usual, as one of the hosts, I'm stealing all the oxygen, so I'm going to let John get in here if he wants to get a question to him, because I know Todd might have a few since he knows you. But John, you want to jump in there?
Well, I'm kind of curious, Zane. A lot of people have a lot of concerns about technology and the growth of technology in our country. And so, do you see or feel like data centers or possibility data centers are moving into your neighborhood? And are you opposing to those if you become mayor?
There are some moving in, and I've been working with their planning and zoning department to try to come up with a proper zone for those data centers. We passed a resolution, a text amendment last month for a zone just for those data centers. And as it stands now with that resolution, there's only 2 places in our county that would qualify for a data center, and they're both within the interior of an industrial park. They're both more than 5 miles away from any residential areas. Requires a vibration study, a noise study, a utility study to make sure that we're equipped. And it may be a little too stringent, but I'd rather start that way than relax the regulations over time if we need to. I tell people we got to protect our citizens from things that they don't want to be exposed to. We've also got to leave an avenue open for development.
Yeah, they do seem like it's a growing thing. And what kind of size data centers are we talking about with this? Are we talking about these enormous data centers looking to move in there, or are we just talking about something like Verizon wants to put a small data center in there?
Well, a neighboring county did a cryptocurrency data mine about 3-4 years ago, and it really gave everybody a bad taste in their mouth because of the noise, the fans.
Did we lose them?
I think it made a cut out there.
You still there?
There you are.
Yeah, there
okay,
we
yep,
go. Go ahead,
we're
Zane.
here. I think he lost us.
Yeah, so you get a little technology glitch there as he's talking. Yeah,
Well,
but
it
I
sounds
think
like-
I hear the birds singing.
I was gonna say I hear background noise, so I'm not sure what's
I do
going
too.
on.
So yeah, some of the data centers that he's talking about are some of the smaller ones. They're not these large, grotesque ones that we're seeing in some places getting run out of town, where they take over or anything like that. And I don't think they're going to require like a nuclear reactor like some of these places are may have to have in the future.
Some of these data centers are enormous.
I know,
I was
huge,
seeing something
huge.
about just operational, just updating some of these AIs. It can be something, some of $50 million or something. Just doing one update on these things because of all the electricity and cost and stuff associated with processing this. I am looking for his microphone. I don't see it.
Still there?
Yep,
There you
so here,
are.
go ahead.
There
Go
you
ahead,
are.
Zane.
You muted yourself.
Still here. Yeah.
I don't think I can get it from this end. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's out on the farm. He just came back from knocking doors before the show, and so he just called in right away as soon as he got to the farm. So I imagine he's having some signal issues too, but perhaps. But
No, he's having I think he keeps muting his phone by mistake. I see the mute button coming up. You there, Zane? Well, we did lose the background noise, so I guess we'll have to wait till he pops back in. But yeah, anyway, they can be very, very expensive to operate. So that's one of the chief concerns people have about it is the cost of operations, for electricity and stuff, and the absorption of their resources when it comes to water. Some of these things consume a lot of water, and some of the energy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
We hear you.
I'm sorry. Every time I get a phone call, something happens, and I'm sorry.
Oh, that is a problem if
Yes.
whenever you use your phone. That is true. Sorry about that. I should have warned you
I,
about that before the show. Sorry.
I should have got on the computer, but I'm just coming in.
That's
I'm
my fault. I
coming
should
in.
have warned you about that beforehand. That folks, that is on me 100%.
My fault. But we're talking about the data centers, and
Yes,
it's a
sir.
balance. Everything in our county is a balance. We want to leave that avenue open for development, but we want to protect our citizens from noise, from any type of light pollution or vibration pollution. So, and I see it. I'll try to be open-minded, and I told our commission the other night that 100 years ago they were trying to ban electricity.
Right,
So,
right. And now
so
you
let's
can't
let's not
can't live without it.
yeah yeah let's not throw the baby out the bathwater. Let's leave an avenue open for development, but let's try to do it intelligently and do it incrementally.
Well, you said the other day, learn from the other places, other counties' mistakes. Whenever they put in these big data centers, they saw dollar signs and took a lot of money, and of course now they're regretting it. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, and I thought you talked to somebody at the polls, I believe. You said, "Hey, we should do it responsibly, learn from their mistakes. If we're going to do it, make sure we have buy-in from the commission and citizens alike." Which I
We need to
appreciate
get,
that.
and we need to get the buy-in on the front end,
Right.
not after the flack and after the objections come. We need to get the buy-in on the front end. You got to sell it on the front end. You got to make sure people are with you. You got to make sure they're supportive, and you got to make sure that it's something they want to do. I tell people this county, their vision is more important than my vision. And if elected, the first thing I want to do is go all around this county and have forums and town halls and listen to people and find out what matters to them. When I've been out door knocking, I'll see someone at their mailbox and I'll say, what's important to that person? Or I'll see
Right.
someone on their porch and think, I just wonder what's important to them. So I want to know what's important to people and focus the vision on what's important to them.
Colonel, do you have a question there? I saw you moving in for your
No,
microphone.
no, I'm good.
So
We
we
did
got-
have somebody here, Todd, that wanted to ask about AI and farming and how AI is supposed to be. If I can find it here real quick. It's up here a little further. How much is AI really helping the farming community? Because most people today believe this is the answer to sustainable farming, and I'm not sure about this. This come from Ellen Gill.
That's a good question. I think AI is going to be a very important role in farming. When I do a lot of spraying. When I plant corn, I spray it. When I try to get rid of weeds and pests, I'll spray it. And I've got a Starlink app on my phone. John Deere has this, and they can actually tell you where to spray. They can take control of the tractor and actually run the tractor for you, where you don't overlap, where you don't spray too much, where you don't waste chemicals. It's really become more profitable to do it that way than to do it the old-fashioned way. AI is going to be a big part of farming because we're losing 10 acres of farmland every hour. So that's 240 acres a day of farmland we're losing. So we've got to do more with less. And the only way we can do that is through AI and through technology and through modernization. People talk about genetically modified seeds and crops. Well, there's no way we can feed the country or the world without them. So technology has to be embraced. It has to be used. It has to be the answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we got a growing population. You got to feed them somehow.
You're
That's
losing
for
10
sure.
acres an hour.
Wow. So we got about how many minutes there, John? We got about 8 or 9 minutes before the break there.
A good 7, yeah.
Yeah. So what are some things maybe you've learned as you're going out knocking doors and talking to people? What are some of the bigger issues that they're talking about and that you're incorporating into your campaign? If you don't mind talking about that.
Well, earlier I said what a diverse county this is, and I can almost predict what they're going to complain about by where I'm at. If I'm in the rural part of the county, if I'm in Hickory Tree, or if I'm in Bluff City or Piney Flats, they're going to complain about property taxes.
Right.
Because those people, a lot of them are older people. They're on fixed incomes. Their income's not going up, but their property taxes are.
Right.
And I get it. If we're in the more urban part of the county, they complain about potholes and roads and not having amenities. They want new grocery stores. They want new restaurants. They want amenities like that. And
Right.
also, a lot of people complain about health care. Health
Hmm,
care
for
is a
sure.
big issue in Sullivan County. And the thing about health care I try to tell people is the cost of health care has just gotten unsustainable.
Hmm.
Uh, and I really like to try to focus on putting the health part back into health care. 80% of our health care costs are because of chronic uh, preventable diseases. So
For
if
sure.
people would get out and try to focus on the health part of healthcare, then a part of that 80% could be reduced. And we've got a health department in Sullivan County. Not many people do. Not every county does. But we've got our own health department. So I've talked to our health department director about trying to come up with some programs for a healthier lifestyle. Healthcare is a big issue. Roads are a big issue. Taxes are a big issue. Schools, of course, is a big issue. Funding for schools, Todd knows all about this. Uh, I think what was the latest survey that came out, Todd, that Tennessee was 51st
51st, yeah,
in school funding?
well, yeah, in education or something like that, and funding, and I think that was from the National Education Association, which is an lefty teachers union type thing. But it's still interesting for sure.
It's interesting, and I've talked to John Crawford, one of our state representatives, about that the other day, and he said, Memphis is really bringing down our numbers as far as where we rank in school funding and in performance. And if you could take Memphis out of the equation, it would put us back to 10th or 12th in the country as far as achievement goes. Now we're 38th or 39th in achievement scoring. But if you could take Memphis out of the equation, it put us like 12th. So I think our
Wow.
state's actually going to take over the schools in Memphis. Have you heard that, Todd?
Right, right. I've heard that, which might make sense for sure, because yeah, they are failing down there and miserably.
So and Todd knows this as much as I do, or better. And I used to be a teacher, but it starts at home. If you don't have the parents at home to kind of get you started in the right direction, if you don't have the parents who are going to prioritize education, then those students are going to start behind, and they're never going to catch up with the rest of their class. So parents is where it's got to start. And then school systems can do their part also, but it's got to start at home.
Right, absolutely, for sure. So we got how many minutes? We got a few more minutes there. Zane, anything that we haven't talked about? Anything you want to hit on real quick and discuss?
Another big issue in our county is our jail. We're building a new jail, which will probably be about $108 million by the time we get it finished. And every time I tour the old jail or the new jail, I always ask the same question to our sheriff's department: how many people in here are here because of drugs? And it's
Right.
90 to 95%. So, if we could just break that cycle of addiction, and addiction destroys lives, it destroys families, and it costs our taxpayers millions of dollars. So, and how you break that cycle of addiction, it's got to start early, it's got to start in schools. And I've always tried to put my finger on why people are addicted, and I think it's because they give up hope.
Right.
I think they just don't have any hope of having a family or having a home. And I've talked to a lot of the treatment people, and they said people don't get addicted to drugs to feel good; they get addicted to feel nothing. So when they
Right. Yeah,
give
it's
up,
sad.
when they've given up, they just become more and more addicted. So somewhere in our school systems, we've got to try to break that cycle. But like I just said, it's got to be start at home, and it's got to be a generational thing to try to emphasize how important education is. I see a lot of people today that are in jail that are addicted because they said, well, I never learned a trade. I never learned how to make a living.
Right.
And that's because they weren't taught that, I think, at home first. And it just didn't prioritize it. So if we could just break that cycle of addiction, people's lives would be better, their county would be better. But it's going to take a while. It's going to take a new generation probably to do that. And that's probably the saddest thing I see in our county is just people giving up hope.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. So I think we're maybe down to the last minute or so here before the break, and you're going to jump off here. But what are some final thoughts here before we let you go?
Next Tuesday will be the primary day. It'll be the day that determines my election. And I think the next 4 years in Sullivan County, and Todd's going to be a big part of this on the school board or whatever he chooses to do after that. I think the next 4 years will probably affect the next 4 decades in our county.
I could agree with that.
We're in a position now where we're at a crossroads. We're either going to be a slave to our development, or we're going to be able to use it to make
there we go. We got
the
the heart out, Zane. I appreciate you being our guest tonight. Zane Vanover from Mayor.com.
Broadcasting from 200 Main Street in the beautiful and historic Masonic Building. This is WSMN 1590 AM and WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Streaming live at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News, I'm Anthony Lucero. President Trump says he spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who offered assistance in ending the Iran war. That includes recovering enriched uranium intended for nuclear weapons.
I said I'd much rather have you be involved with ending the war with Ukraine. To me, that would be more important.
Trump adds that Putin may soon announce what he calls a little ceasefire in the Ukraine war. A former special agent is speaking out about the security concerns surrounding the President of the United States.
Chris Whitcomb was an FBI agent, now an investigative journalist. He was asked whether security should have been better during the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
But I was completely surprised. I was shocked, actually. The would-be assassin got that close to the president's cabinet members, the vice president, the whole thing. I was shocked.
Whitcomb says the Secret Service is actually a small agency that sometimes often depends on the FBI and local agencies. I'm Phil Farrar.
President Trump is accusing former FBI Director James Comey of using gang language to order a hit. Comey surrendered after being federally charged for threatening Trump's life, tied to a photo he posted showing seashells arranged as 8647.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid.
Trump says that signals a killing order. The Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates unchanged. Chairman Jerome Powell says the economy is growing at a solid pace, but warns the Iran war is adding uncertainty.
Developments in the Middle East are contributing to a high level of uncertainty about the economic outlook, and we will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
Powell's term as chair ends on May 15th, and he plans to remain a governor while calling criticism from President Trump unprecedented. Wall Street closed mixed.
At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 280 points, the S&P 500 fell 2 points, and the Nasdaq gained 9 points. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
From America's News Network USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
H.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com, stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Common Sense Conservatives. It's Wednesday night here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. It's the Common Sense Conservatives. Had Zane Vanover, a candidate for Sullivan County, Tennessee mayor, there in the first hour, kind of laying out his plan. And, of course, had a little technical difficulties, but that's all right. That was kind of on me. I should have told him that whenever people call you on the phone, it will cut out. I've experienced that a few times, being out on the road whenever I've, used my phone to be on the show, whenever I'm out in a hotel or something like that, and don't take my laptop. So that's my fault. Waiting on Colonel Chris Wyatt to be back on here. He's blanked out there. I don't know where he's at. He may have got, there he is, Colonel Chris Wyatt, everybody, back in the show, back in his home studio.
Couldn't find his remote. The thing of it is,
my remote, it's dealing with other people's problems. Jeez.
More drama over there. So yeah, we need to. What you're saying out loud here, Todd, is we need to take some time and write something up. So when we have guests on, we have a little introduction, how to use the Restream and things like that.
Right? Yeah.
We haven't done that. We kind of shoot off the cuff here, kind of like how we do our show. And
that's true. Well, and I was flying back from DC today, and I just reached out to him, on the phone. I was like, hey, would you want to be a guest tonight? Next week's the election. And we talked about this probably a few weeks ago, and he was knocking doors and a few other things going on. It wasn't able to be on the show. And of course, tonight it just kind of worked out for he was able to be on the show tonight. So I appreciated it. And hopefully it helped out, hopefully got a little bit of his message out there. Decent man, very good person, not negative at all, not attacking anybody. And of course, I have my own trolls in our area, and of course he does as well. And one of them posted up here in the chats trying to call me out. But anyway,
it's good stuff when the trolls show up. That's when you're having an effect, and Zane's doing his job because they're coming out.
This guy tries to correct me and says, "Oh, is it the dark money that's under investigation, or is it the actual campaign?" I'm like, they're basically one and the same here, folks. They know who each other are. They know how it's being funded. I know how it's being funded. I'm waiting to see if the TBI figures it out or if the FBI gets involved. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. See, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get on the Facebook page. You got to be on the Facebook page to see the drama.
Right, but let's be honest, folks. That campaign, one way or another, is under investigation. It's not the dark money to PAC. It's related here. It's related, but I won't go too much in depth there. Whether it's the PACs that are under investigation. It's tied into people that are working within these campaigns. And I've also seen that I think the Congresswoman's the treasurer, excuse me, has been thrown out there as well. Again, I don't know the full story behind that, but I'm seeing people starting to talk about that. Not alleging anything. I'm hoping the investigation actually digs up all the dirt and things come to fruition where somebody can be actually, held to account, if you will, brought to justice, whatever the case may be. Needs to happen. I mean, these dark money PACs, which I know how they're funded, by the way. 100% I know how it's done. I was just in D.C. talking to people, and I actually went to the buildings where these PACs are registered, and I know how they're being funded, folks. But I don't have documents right in front of me here. But whenever it comes out, the person who trolls won't say that I was right. I guarantee you.
So I think what you're talking about is the FEC. We probably has an Office of Inspector General.
Well, the FEC is federal, but there is some federal.
Okay. So this is strictly state.
But it's a local election, so it's a state level investigation at the moment. But I think there's going to be federal involved because it does touch DC because a couple of these PACs are registered in DC. And I was actually at both of those addresses this past weekend and talked to several people, some actually who work on the Hill who have some knowledge of this. And they told me I was on the right track. So therefore, I want to keep on the right track, folks. So
there you go. Todd knows his business.
I talk to the right people. Don't worry about that. I mean, before somebody throws out some keyboard warrior nonsense, Todd does his homework.
So Chris is out there taking down the New World Church or whatever it is, and you're taking down the dark money PACs in Tennessee.
Not even me. I'm just calling it out because it's not true. You're lying about this man who's a good, decent person, who's not anywhere related to Joe Biden. He's not some lefty It's nonsense. It's ridiculous. But the person he's running against, that's all they really have to go on is lies about this person and slander. Hey, how about this? We stand you both up and you have a real true debate. None of these candidate forum nonsense where you get a softball question and you get a lot of time to throw out your answer. A true debate, a spirited debate where you actually take questions and you get to rebut one another. You get to go back and forth. I think that's what needs to happen. We need more actual debate, and we need more people that's going to do some of their own investigation, if you will. I asked the right people in Washington when I was there over the weekend, folks. So they told me I was on the right track in all this, but I'm not some investigative journalist or anything like that. So I'm not going to write some big expose, but I know where it's going to lead, and I hope it leads there. I certainly hope it leads to where it needs to go. But I'm not going to allege that it's going to lead to this place exactly 100%. But we have a pretty good idea. I'm pretty much on the right track to be able to say that, right? I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think
you're okay.
Well, I am an investigative journalist, and do I need to make a drive after my rear wheel bearings are fixed and come to Sullivan County, Tennessee? Just let me know.
Right.
Are you got a GoFundMe going on those wheel bearings?
I've done some investigations, but
I mean, I'm going to drop $1,200 tomorrow to fix my car, and I'm dealing with a $5 issue here. That's what this is all about.
$5 issue right in the middle of your show.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
But anyway, let's switch gears here.
Was it your favorite Netflix or
No. It's we agreed that veterans on Wednesday could have a $5 discount on their meal. Oh. And someone texted me, and it's frustrating when people don't just come out and tell you what they're looking for. So on the margins of the interview, I was trying to, what exactly are you looking for? They're like, well, is it just tell me. So and so is in the dining room. He wants to know, is the $5 discount? Just tell me that. I had, 45 questions here playing, the $64,000 question. I know where it's going, but I don't know who it is. So I finally found who it is. Now, so I had to send this guy a text. I had to call the post, tell the waitress, make sure, oh gosh, it's just, anyway. It becomes a bit much at times.
I feel your pain.
I got to tell you, our guest, I kept thinking of his neighboring state there. I'll go back to the Andy Griffith show. He sounds so nice. He reminds me of Andy Griffith, only instead of being a sheriff, he wants to be mayor. But the best part is the birds chirping in the background. Kind of like that Disney World effect.
Yeah, the birds was nice.
Bird, right? It was nice. Yeah, birds singing in the sycamore tree. So, Colonel, we haven't talked since last week. Yeah. Iran still on a pause. We had King Charles III come to D.C. I got to see some of the motorcades. I didn't see the King. I didn't get to go to the South Lawn. I was busy on the Hill. But what are your thoughts on Iran? Where are we at? Still paused? What's the way ahead here?
Well, I still think that we made an operational mistake. We should have taken Karg Island the moment. That's the first thing we should have done. Taking Karg Island, as I said, with SEALs or Delta or both, and then fly a Ranger battalion in there and helicopters, or bring in a Marine battalion from the MEU. Marine Expeditionary Unit, put them out there and take over the island from the outset, then bomb the snot out of them minutes later. That's what we should have done. And then but we could have begun a blockade weeks before we did it, allowing all this oil to get to China and these other countries, which kept getting cash in there. So now we've lost the initiative when it comes to strangling the regime money-wise. I suspect that maybe I don't know. I suspect maybe it wasn't really well thought out. At least it appears to be that way. So that's my issue on it. And quite frankly, I'm really irritated by this whole Iran thing. I'm so sick of hearing people lie and whine about the history of the United States meddling in Iran. The Shah was the Shah in 1953 when the prime minister tried to overthrow the government essentially and kick out the American oil companies. And they say that we intruded. No, he exceeded his bounds and he was put back in his place. The Shah asked for our help. So,
Right.
They're the ones who precipitated this. But we keep hearing about, I heard some idiot the other day talking about how the United States has been doing this since 1953 and we need to stay out of the Iranians' business. You know what? They've been sticking their nose in our business since that time. So we built their oil industry. They stole it from us and there was no compensation for that. So I'm so sick of Iran. I'm ready to just, if I was in charge of Central Command, I'd be pushing to launch Tomahawks right now. It's time to just pummel them in the Stone Age. I don't like war. I oppose war, but I've had enough of their nonsense. They're not going to give up the nuclear weapons, short of sending a SEAL team to find the weapons and steal them. There's no way we're going to stop this. There's no way. They're going to get a weapon.
Do you think Trump's biggest mistake in this is he left the IRGC too strong in it? They still got strong leadership, and that's been their strong point all along, their most oppositional point for us. Do you think instead of just tapering back, he should have handled that first and weakened them out?
No, I think the first thing should have been to take Karg Island. I said that from
Yeah,
the outset.
yeah.
I said it doesn't make any sense. But as far as the leadership, I think the Israelis done a pretty good job eviscerating. We're down to third and fourth tier of leadership in many cases. But I don't know. I haven't seen, but I question whether we've been pummeling the IRCG's buildings, their communications lots, their vehicles, everything. I mean, other than sinking their ships, I don't know if we put a big dent in them. Do they still have vehicles to drive around and oppress the population? I suspect they do. I don't know because it's a blackout. There's no information. The Iranians have shut down the internet. There's very little information comes out. Central Command shows this thing's blowing up, but they're usually surface-to-air missile sites or mobile launchers or rocket launchers, or ships. They're not showing us, motor pools of blowing up vehicles and ammunition dumps and things like that. That's what needs to be targeted. But look, I mean, Iran was a first world state at one time, and these 13th century mullahs have turned it into a backwards place.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost patience with this. I've been very patient, but they started this war 47 years ago. They kidnap Americans. They never paid a price for that. And I watched a clip tonight earlier before I came on air, which is probably not a good thing because that's probably got me riled up. The Ayatollah Khomeini saying, we're taking these Americans. There's not a damn thing that the Americans can do about it because we have their hostages. You know what? There's a damn thing, and you're dead and buried. That's unfortunate because I'd love to see you suffer. But the other one's now dead because of his actions, and I've had enough of these idiots. They're beyond the pale, and they need to be taken out. And quite frankly, it's annoying. It's time to deal with rogue states, and I don't care how many times they call Trump a bad guy or how many times try to assassinate him. He's right. He's right. He may be erratic in what he says, but he's right about this issue, and it's the first time in nearly 5 decades that someone addressed this issue. Should have been addressed in 1979. We had a coward in office, and then Reagan
who's
came
wearing
in
sweaters and putting things.
Right.
In there. Go ahead.
More
Cyrus
resistant
Vance,
Homes. Yeah.
Cyrus Vance, and Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
But no, it's long overdue. Long overdue. And I'm I was glad they stopped it and they had a ceasefire. But quite frankly, I didn't believe the Iranians would adhere to it, and they haven't. The night of they fired 30 more missiles after the deadline, and they've done. They've tried to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They're not abided by a ceasefire in any respect whatsoever. They fired at their neighbors. It is time to pummel them into the Stone Age, and that's just the reality. So that's where I sit on the issue. I don't know. That's unequivocal. I mean, there's no equivocating here. I'm clear. It's Central Command. Go.
I'm with you 100%, man. But I was with you 100% way back when this first started. I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's get this done. I'd love to see Iran fall, the regime, and be replaced with some form of democracy, where they can actually rise up again, enjoy the freedoms, and become the strong nation they once were, and possibly an ally to the United States. That'd be beautiful.
Well, I mean, I suppose it'd be beautiful, but I'm not really all excited about that. I just want this theocratic ghouls to be removed.
Yeah.
They are a cancer on the human species, and they need to remove excise from body politic because they're all about murder. That's all they care about. They murder. And you see these videos popping up more and more of people in Belgium and here in the United States and all over Europe talking about, like in Brussels, 43% of the kids are Muslim. And we are going to rise up the infidels. And I saw the video of a Muslim in a grocery store urinating all the pork products, whipping out his schwanz. I mean, they want Islamophobia. They're going to get Islamophobia because behavior of these clowns, these ghouls who shouldn't be in these countries, is now turning the world's population against Islam, which is unfortunate that this is happening, but it's definitely happening.
I think something that people don't take into consideration about this is these guys live in an apocalyptic mindset. So to them, we're the great Satan. And they're fighting the great war of the great Satan here, and they think they're going to win. And it's like, I see Trump over here looking like Doc Holliday. I'll be your Huckleberry.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah. Well, you can't capitulate. You can't capitulate. You can't give an inch. I mean, you look at London. No. I mean, that's almost gone now, like the Colonel said. Almost
the UK has gone. I call it the Anglo-Celtic Caliphate, and King Sausage Fingers having the audacity to come to America and deign to, and try to speak ill of our president, talk about democracy. He doesn't have democracy in his country. He's a monarchy. Right. I know they got a parliament, but it's not a real democracy. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. The government doesn't do what the people of the UK want. No one asked to be invaded by millions of people who don't share your cultural values, who steal from the system, who pollute the environment, who pollute the landscape. No one asked for that. And we've had a British soldier beheaded by jihadists outside a military barracks in London. We've had bombs blow up in London. How many more dead Brits have to be? And to be lectured to by this buffoon, this philandering buffoon, to be lectured to by him telling us about freedoms. And excuse me, you're the one locking up British citizens for standing on a street corner with the Union Jack, not with the flag of Russia, not Communist China, but the Union Jack. You're the ones that send the police on a Sunday to intimidate and then arrest a British Falkland Islands war veteran because he retweeted something someone else put out that wasn't even offensive, but it offended some Muslims' feelings, and therefore he gets arrested because some Muslims' feelings are hurt? Are you serious? Do you know how many times my feelings are hurt by Muslims? Get over it. Grow a backside. This is ridiculous. This is not a country anymore. It is the Anglo-Celtic Caliphate. That's what it is, led by King Sausage Fingers and Sir Keir Dumbass Star. That's right. That's Steer. That's what I said. What a bunch of clowns. The UK is gone. There is no United Kingdom. It's United Caliphate. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you think is... I mean, obviously, he didn't come over here to celebrate the 250th year of their butt kicking. So what do you think their ask is? I mean, he come over here basically trying to align UK with the United States on principles. But why?
Because they're desperate. The UK is nothing. It's gone. Yeah. The only thing the UK has, the only thing they have is a financial center. They have no manufacturing base for the most part. It's eviscerated. It's gone. And what's left of the UK is owned by Japanese, Chinese, and Americans and others, not by Brits by and large. They have nothing. If it wasn't for Canary Wharf and the financial district and London, the country would be a backwater. Look at the difference economically between London and the rest of the country. It's gone. There's nothing. The British don't even have a navy. They have one carrier and they can't even get it to sail. They have no military. We have more. We have more Boy Scouts than they have Navy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, unless I'm mistaken. There you go, Todd. I was just going to go there. Go ahead.
Oh, didn't the Russians just recently sell their Navy right past the UK near their territorial waters?
They are. From my understanding, what they're doing is they're running oil tankers through the English Channel, which at some points in time, the English Channel becomes so narrow, it's actually sovereign to France and England because it's only something like 20 miles wide or something, So basically with their combined sovereignty and, what do you call it?
12 miles
sea,
or whatever.
Right? Yeah, 12 miles, 14 miles, 12 nautical. So anyway, the point is they're running them through there. They're dilapidating tankers, so they have a... sanctions on Russian tankers coming through there. Russia wants to run them through there, so what they're doing is they're running them through there with military ships to prevent England from stopping and boarding their ships because they have a law saying because they're sanctioned they can stop and board their ships. So Russia don't want them doing that. So now basically Russia is being aggressors to England. Why? Because of what Chris said. They've given up their military strengths. They've given up any kind of strength they've had at all. They've become a weak nation like we were with Biden, and Russia felt so emboldened to go into Ukraine. That's what they're doing to England right now. They're becoming bullies in the globe, and now England needs us to stand up for them because they can't do it themselves. That's more than likely what the ask is that we're going to see coming down the line.
Right, and I can tell you, whenever the royals come over, it's always an occasion. People want to see them, like, oh, the royals, the king, the queen, all of this and that. It is a big PR tour because the king really has no. I mean, he has some authority, but he doesn't really have any day-to-day authority whatsoever. But people just love to flock to this because they've never seen royalty or anything like that. But it's like most of history that's any nation that's ever had any royal, whether it's a king, queen, whatever the case may be, emperor. Usually these are oppressive people that the people are there to serve the machine, if you will, the royal family essentially. And I know it's kind of gotten away from that to a degree, but still in a lot of ways it is that way in a lot of these countries.
Britain are royal worshippers, and they got us over here being royal worshippers. I can't tell you the
Right.
number of Americans I know sitting there around the television just worshiping the royal family for some unknown reason. I don't understand why. We kicked their butts twice out of this country and said, no, you're our oppressors. We're not going to have anything to do with you. Get out. Twice we had to remove them, So,
Right.
and we didn't become allies to them until 1871. We signed a treaty. We decided it was time to stop fighting with them. So 1871, we signed a treaty. Things are getting along pretty good, but our true alliances came, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I think our true alliances came with
One
Britain
and
during
two.
World War I and II.
Correct.
Yes.
That's where this special relationship was built, especially in World War II. But they need to remove the British ambassador to Washington. This asshat of a clown has now run his mouth, just like the South African ambassador, but not nearly as badly. But nonetheless, he's talked to a group of British students who came over here, they claim that, well, it's a private conversation. Not a private conversation. He wasn't talking to diplomats. When you talk to a diplomat, that's a private conversation unless it's in a public forum. You have a closed-door meeting with a diplomat, that stays behind closed doors. You treat that as classified information. That's how the world of diplomacy works. But when you have guests who come to your embassy or you go speak in an event, that's not a closed event, not unless it's other diplomats from your mission. No. And so he met with these students and he said, well, there is no special relationship. The only special relationship the United States has is with Israel. And besides, that's backward thinking. It's not progressive. He needs to go. The British ambassador in Washington needs to go. They just got rid of the last one because he was an Epstein butt boy. Now they get rid of this one because he's a moron. So the Brits keep sending the worst of the worst over here. How about you send it someone who can walk and chew gum at the same time, and understands that it's actually it's a traffic circle, not a roundabout.
Traffic, so not around. Yeah. So also, I was going to stay at the Hinckley Hilton, actually, with Washington Hilton, where the White House Correspondents' Dinner was actually held. I would have actually been there, or maybe I would have been out somewhere, but I would have been staying at the hotel where this event took place. The attempted assassination this past week. What are your thoughts about that? Some people are saying it was staged, all this nonsense. I don't think it was staged, but I'm just saying people are talking about it, speculating. Of course, people love to speculate. What are your thoughts on that one, Colonel?
Sure. I mean, lots of demon rats sign up to be shot running through a hotel in the name of a setup to help a Republican. I mean, what a bunch of nonsense. There's a bunch of mentally stunted individuals in this country who believe in anything that they hear. Stage, give me a freaking break. Okay, let's go back to this. So this is the third official attempt, but apparently it's the fourth purported attempt on the president's life. And at some point, when do we start firing Secret Service leadership? When? I mean, we forced the other one out because she was an idiot. She hasn't been charged with negligence. But think about this. They didn't coordinate with the hotel staff. What did they do with Butler? They didn't coordinate with local law enforcement in Butler or the facilities people there at the event.
Right.
They did not secure all the doors. Apparently, they didn't even check who the guests were in the hotel. A cursory check of who's signed in the hotel, who's been here, how long they're here, where they're from. Oh, that probably would have turned up some red flags about this guy. This is Keystone Cops action. And yes, I know the agents on the scene at the magnetometer, they responded, they neutralized the threat, but the threat never should have been in the building. That cancer should have been removed from the building before the event even occurred. But the piss poor security, the lax behavior of the Secret Service is going to get our president killed. And it won't just be this president, it'll be another president as well, because they're idiots. They're Keystone Cops. And I know I'm going to take a lot of grief for attacking the Secret Service, but damn it, how many times have to have an attempt on the president's life before you do something? Butler was the biggest cock-up I've ever seen in my life. It's as if they wanted him dead. It's as if there's a conspiracy to kill the president. We also heard Joe Biden just weeks before that say, we got to take this guy out. You got to take him out. And then this happens in Butler. And by the way, 3 times as many Secret Service agents are with Dr. Joe Biden at an event in nearby Pittsburgh as what the president, a former president of the United States, and a candidate for office had, while they ratchet up the temperature, turn up the heat, and try to inflame the public. And that's what they've done. And now these lunatics keep coming after the president. These people are really dangerous. Democrats. They used to be people. They used to be normal people. They used to be people who profess to support unions and work for union wages and stop child labor. But they've gone from that to lunatics who don't believe in science, lunatics who have no concept about what carbon dioxide is, no concept of the history of this planet, no concept of anything. They're just lunatics who are demented, who want power, absolute power at any cost. Hakeem Jeffries is calling for maximum warfare against Republicans, knowing that that will lead to violence against Republicans. We've had Rand Paul beaten with a hammer at his house. We've had the Republicans shot, Steve Scalise crippled at a freaking baseball practice. We have had 4 attempts on the president's life. We've had attempt on Lee Zeldin's life. The list goes on and on. Oh, by the way, Lee Zeldin, what a hero. Did you see him embarrass, what's her name, Rosa DeLauro, that retard from Connecticut? Yeah, I said on air, she's a retard. She's mentally retarded. That's what she is. She's been in Congress since 1990, and she's been oxygen teeth since the day she arrived there. So Lee Zeldin schooled her. Well, yeah. Why aren't you doing climate change? It's nowhere listed in the law. Well, then go to this Supreme Court case or this Supreme Court case. You don't even know the cases. You're a member of Congress. You're questioning me, and you don't even know the cases. And you're telling me I'm making it up. I'm not making it. These are the cases. This is the law. We must follow the law. Here's a Supreme Court decision that says that federal agencies cannot exceed the law. You want us to be activists? It's against the law. I'm not going to break the law. Well, I don't have to listen to this BS. You're right. Resign from Congress. Take your purple-haired, retarded nonsense back to Connecticut where it belongs. Done.
Yeah, she looks like what's that movie with like the ghoul,
Cruella DeVille.
The Dark Crystal, the creature.
Oh,
of the Dark
yeah.
Crystal. Yeah, she kind of looks like that lady. Yeah, or that creature. Yeah, sorry.
Looks like something, that's for sure.
Right.
I mean, look, did you see that? Lee Zeldin calmly just destroyed this woman. And she's nothing but verbal diarrhea coming out. She's so stupid. It reminds me of our buddy there, Hank Johnson from Atlanta. I'm concerned, Admiral, that if you put too many Marines on the island, it'll capsize. It'll tip over.
Tip over, yeah. The Admiral just kind of looked perplexed. He's like, Congressman,
no, he's pretty cool. He's like, Congressman, we don't anticipate that.
Yeah, we don't anticipate. Yeah. Very dry. Like, what did this guy just say?
I think the Admiral's probably like, yeah, we've prepared for every contingency, and we've actually got anchors to way down the other side of the island.
Islands aren't just floating around out there, my man. What are you
Apparently
talking
in
about?
Hank Johnson's world, they are. And then the Democrats try to play it off like, well, he was just being facetious. No, he actually believes that because he's stupid.
Is he by any chance the same one that wanted to build a bridge to Hawaii?
No, that's not him. Look, I mean, the list of so we've got Ilhan Omar thinks that the Roman numeral 2 is 11. World War 11, that's it. That video finally surfaces. That idiot out there, all these people attacking me are just stupid. They're dimwits. No, sweetheart, you're the dimwit. We've got people in Congress because they can't pay their bar bill. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Not that I want to date her or anything. I mean,
those crazy eyes. Yeah, the crazy eyes killers out there.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, this is so warped. How can idiots like that sit in Congress? It's beyond comprehension. Mm-hmm. It's because they're useful idiots. They get big money behind it because you can make these idiots do what you want. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders, man. Apparently, he's still got 2 pairs of underwear.
Wash them out every night whenever I need a fresh pair.
Oh my gosh!
Here's the thing. When I ran for Congress, it was the term after I ran for Congress. I did an exploratory committee to run again, and I went to D.C. I sat down with a number of different organizations, different groups, talked about endorsements, talked about money, this and that. And a lot of the questions that they were asking was basically alluding to, are you going to basically play ball with what we want, if you will? If we get involved in this, if we give you the X amount of dollars, what are we getting in return? Maybe
what
not
are we
those direct
buying?
questions.
What are we buying? Yep, that's
buying?
what it is. Yep.
Yeah, it's
that's
not
right.
those direct questions. They're very careful with their questioning, but that's exactly what they're asking you.
They want to know if you're going to play ball for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're not in it for good governance. They're in it for their own political interest.
Remember that time Mitch McConnell came up here to New Hampshire and met with Don Bolduc, and Don Bolduc pretty much shut him down. From what I can tell, he's like, I'm not going to be ball or so. So Mitch McConnell just packed up his money and left. He's like, you're not getting none of my money or support.
Tells you a lot. Tells you a lot. So real quick, speaking of elections, midterms coming up, what do you think is going to happen? Republicans keeping the House, going to lose the House? I think the Senate's going to be pretty much the same as what it is, but the House is probably what's in jeopardy right now.
Well, the Democrats seem to think they have a shot at taking over the Senate. I don't know how accurate that is. The House is definitely in play. It depends on what happens with this ignoramus gerrymandering is happening in all these states in the end.
Right.
Defrauding voters, Republicans and Democrats defrauding voters across the country with this gerrymandering. But
Right.
they're hardly the first. Maryland did this crap 10, 15 years ago and eliminated all the Republican seats except the Eastern Shore. And then Illinois started it in earnest, and that's where this all started. Look, it's hard to predict because we're 6 months out. Things can change overnight. October surprises.
Sure.
If the Iran thing is resolved and the price of fuel comes down a little bit because it'll always stay high in the summertime, and the economy continues to grow, we get a new Fed chairman in who is not averse to lowering the interest rates, and suddenly people can buy houses and afford houses. An awful lot can happen between now and then. The bottom line is that normally people vote with their pocketbook. That's the bottom line. They vote with their pocketbook. One of the reasons Trump got reelected wasn't just because he was being attacked by everybody and because people were MAGA, but because people were hurting. Joe Biden's hyperinflation eviscerated the incomes of the middle class in this country. I know I thought I retired as a colonel. I could live on Easy Street. Give me a break. Everything I pay for costs twice what it cost a few years ago. I mean, even a sandwich at Arby's is $6. The sandwich. You used to be able to get a meal for that. Now the sandwich costs $6. Some of the sandwiches are $10. Go to Burger King. Their specialty sandwiches are $10 or $11. I mean, what planet is this? This is ridiculous. My electricity is twice what it costs, and they're all screaming because the price of gasoline is up 20%. I mean, give me a break. Price of gasoline was $6 a gallon at one point. Nearly $6 a gallon here in Pennsylvania. It's selling for $3 something right now. It's gone up a bit, but it hasn't gone up that much. They didn't scream and have protests like the Irish did. Oh, price of energy. Price of energy were up 20% in Ireland. Take the taxes off, and you won't have to pay that extra 20%. They didn't scream when the price of gasoline doubled in Ireland when Joe Biden was president. It doubled in less than a year. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen in November. It's too chaotic to predict. If there was no Iran war, it'd be much easier. But with the Iran war, I think the predictions are out the window. Lots of pundits are going to say this, that, and the other. And I'm pretty good at predicting elections. That's not a boast, it's a statement of fact. My predictions are pretty accurate for South Africa and for the U.S. over the years. Although I did get 2020 wrong, but I stand by the contention it was stolen. So, that's I don't think I was wrong in 2020. But
Right.
I'll have to say that I did say Trump was going to win. But apparently, according to the Federal Elections Commission, and he didn't win. But anyway. But no, I've been pretty accurate in my predictions, but I'm not making one right now. There's just too many variables. Too much is hanging out there. I do think that the House is where it's going to be decided. A lot of people are losing sleep over this. I wouldn't lose sleep. Trump has already accomplished more in a year than most presidents accomplished in 8 years. So I think we're okay. We do need to get spending under control. And 1.5 trillion for national defense. I'm kind of giving a shaded a stink eye at that. 1.5 trillion for national defense. I was going to go the other way and cut national defense spending, but now we're going to double down and spend 1.5 trillion, which is more than the economy of 2/3 of the planet, almost 3/4 of the planet. 1.5 trillion dollars. It's crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. And you got to think about what all does that really buy these days? It's 1.5 trillion. It doesn't get you what it used to. You know what I mean? Anyway, what about Ukraine? What are your thoughts on Ukraine, real quick? We haven't talked about that in a few shows.
Well, Sausage Fingers came and told us we have to support Ukraine. Stuff it, buddy. Go back to the UK. We don't have to support Ukraine. It's a fascist regime that has got a million people murdered because they're intransigents. If Zelensky hadn't been such a clown, then this war wouldn't have happened. And that does not absolve Vladimir Putin of his illegal invasion, occupation, and the acts that he's committed, war crimes and crimes against humanity potentially. But it doesn't excuse Zelensky and his corrupt organization. They have stolen hundreds of billions of dollars, and the Europeans are happy to keep funneling weapons to them while they make it keeps jobs going in their economy. These idiots get all their energy from Russia, and they're in a war against Russia by proxy. We do not need to be drugged into a war by proxy against Russia. That is a fool's errand. Russia's a nuclear-armed nation led by a despot. It's not something we want to be involved in. We should not be involved in Ukraine. We should not be there. Ukraine has no strategic value whatsoever to the United States. None. It's a European problem. If Ukraine falls to the Russians, they occupy the whole country, nothing changes for America. Nothing, except the war ends, and then we can stop pretending that there's a need for this to go on. There is zero strategic value. And it's not a democracy. Oh, we're defending democracy. What a crock. That's like George Bush saying we're defending democracy in Kuwait. There was no democracy. It's run by a bunch of unions. No democracy. That's just a fairy tale. I'm not saying we should have gone to Kuwait in 1990. I'm not projecting that. What I'm saying is that don't tell me fairy tales. Don't give me onions to suck on and tell me they're lollipops. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Hey, those are delicious lollipops. Come on, no.
Good gosh, that's terrible. What a horrible thought even thinking about it. My eyes are watering. No, I mean, look, it's just, the Ukraine thing is stupid. We should not be involved in Ukraine. Get out of Ukraine. Stay away from it, and let them just duke it out. This is not helpful. And Biden fueled this war. It's a war that because of his weak foreign policy occurred in the first place. 6 weeks after Biden became president, the Russians moved 70,000 troops to Belarus on the border and did exercises with their artillery tubes pointed at Ukraine. And Biden said nothing. He sat there quietly. The whole summer long, Putin moves troops. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything until they're in trouble in late November after the elections and December. And then he says, well, there's going to be a war in Ukraine. Yeah, because you've ignored it for 6 months. You took no concrete steps to prevent it from happening. If you had sent U.S. forces into Ukraine and done a bilateral exercise with the 82nd Airborne that summer, you would have sent a very strong signal. If you'd announced the sale of Patriot missiles to Ukraine, that would have sent the signal, and Russia never would have invaded. There could have been other steps. But the problem is that Joe Biden precipitated this war. It's his mess, and Trump needs to stay out of it. Let them duke it out. I think that the bottom line is that Volodymyr Zelensky is going to be overthrown in a coup at some point because he's betrayed the Ukrainian people. The guy is a penis piano player. He's a stupid failed comic who used his penis to play a piano once upon a time.
Right.
Yeah, video of that. I'm not making this up. That's the kind of skanky, nasty kind of person he is. And he walks around like he's some kind of hero warrior. He's got more Ukrainians and Russians killed than you can ever imagine. This is worse than Nazis at this point, the way it's going. No, that guy is ridiculous. Ukraine, no. And all these idiots in France and all the places waving the Ukrainian flags. Where are they at now? 3 years later. 3 years, where are they at? They're nowhere. 4 years later. It was 2022 when this thing started. They're nowhere to be found. Oh, solidarity with Ukraine. Nowhere to be found. Stop it. Utter nonsense. So while we're at it, the 300,000 Ukrainians who came here, they can go home to Ukraine too. Bye.
Right. There you go. Absolutely.
Your buddy's back. Your buddy's back. He wrote a novel.
That's what he does. He's all he does. He's a troll. He's a troll. This is all this guy does. He carries a notebook to meetings and stuff like that, local Republican meetings, and he just goes around lying about it. In fact, I gave his son a scholarship last year. And anyway, it is what it is.
So I have a quick question. I don't know who the person is. I'm not going to get involved in this, but the text of what he's written there is almost identical to false allegations about me by trolls who are looking for attention and glomming off my popularity on the internet. It's almost like they go to AI to create these things. I mean, it's almost verbatim. Just a few words changed from something that someone said about me. It came in my live the other day. I'm just curious. It's just weird.
Anyway, I just want to let the guy. I just want to let the guy know we're not paying him by the word here. In fact, we're not paying him at all. So he doesn't need to write such lengthy comments.
That's what he does. He just shows up. I mean,
there's nothing wrong when it's free speech. I mean,
exactly free speech. I mean, he can be a troll wherever he wants to. And I guess he decided tonight, since we had Zane Vanover on, I knew he'd be here though. I knew he'd be here. This is what this guy does. He misleads people. He lies and. He'll never give anybody their due. That no matter how good you do, no matter what you do, he finds the one little thing and tries to get you on it. It's what he does. Whatever.
What I find entertaining is
he's not active in his community, and whenever he does show up, people are generally like, oh, here we go again, more of this. And I'll just be honest with you. That's what most people say. Even people who he thinks likes him. I mean, are just like, oh, here we go again. I really could care less about the guy. I don't talk about the guy on social media, anything like that. But he's going to be a troll. He's going to be a troll. Anyway, it is what it is.
No, but just one last quick thing here. I said you and the Republican leadership. I mean, last I checked,
I'm not in the Republican leadership anymore. Yeah, also, the Republican leadership he's talking about was supported me because I was the Republican nominee. Right. This guy actually ran against me too a couple of years ago in the primary. It is what it is. He has every right to run. But I was the Republican nominee. I won that election. So the other person who was running against me was the incumbent. He was an independent, so he's an independent, but he tried to put out that he's a lifelong Republican. He may very well have voted Republican. That's cool. That's fine. I appreciate that. But you can't claim to be the Republican in the race whenever you're not the Republican nominee, not running as a Republican. I pointed that out several times, and he says that's negative. Oh, you're going against this guy. No, I just called him out on what he's saying here. Semantics matters in certain circumstances like this.
Todd, I got to tell you, you can't knock him entirely. I mean, he knows his place. He did say he's going back under his rock now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. he won't stay under there long. Trust me. He won't stay under there long. But he won't get in anybody's face and actually say something though. And I'm not asking for any fight like that. but he won't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Not
anyway,
a good
let's
idea
just,
if
I
he
find,
does, though.
I
Not a
find
good
some
idea to mess
parallels
with a
there.
paratrooper, a combat paratrooper. Let me tell you, not a good idea if he does. I'm
I
not.
also
I'm
found
not
it-
threatening. Not threatening. Just stating facts.
All right, John, we've got Todd
Stay with
wound
that.
up. We've got
Todd is
Anyway.
wound up. Yes,
We got to
a
pull him
little.
back down now.
No,
No,
I don't like
but he
little
talks about the
trolly
Republican
clowns,
leadership,
you know?
and as I understand it, you're not exactly on good terms with Republican leadership based on past campaigns. Maybe I misunderstood that.
No, I think he's talking about local leadership, if you will,
Oh, okay.
who came out and endorsed me because I was the quote Republican nominee. You know,
Well, I endorse
they call-
Starbucks, just in case anyone's
Oh,
wondering.
there you go. Watch out. Yeah. But anyway, so let's get back to some international stuff here. We're talking about some Ukraine. Talking about Iran, talking about sausage fingers, His Majesty. What was cool, I was actually in the House chamber that morning, or I forget what time it was, morning, maybe midday. I can't remember the exact time, just before they shut it down, before the sweeps were, security sweeps were supposed to begin. But yeah, it was kind of cool being in the chamber, sitting there looking.
Well, Todd's
Probably within a
freezing
couple
up on us.
hours. You there?
Yeah, you're back. You
Looked like you had Zane's Wi-Fi all of a sudden.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is. The House tour the Capitol. Got to go sit in the House chamber just before the King arrived, which was kind of cool. You know, I mean, it's a historic event. Whether or not you like what he had to say is besides the point. It was a historic event. It was kind of cool to be on the Hill and seeing the motorcades go by, and of course, just missed seeing the King. Saw the Vice President drive by, and it was kind of cool because I'm like, I remember being in those motorcades. You know, years and years of going up to the Hill in those motorcades, which was kind of cool. And I'm like, I used to be in that. I used to be right there in that car right there. You know, it was kind of neat.
Well, John, I'm going to have to reconsider my plan to move to Sullivan County, Tennessee, because between Todd and Zane, apparently the internet sucks in Tennessee.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I've got somebody else here sucking up all the bandwidth, probably. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, that's what happens when people stream from Netflix. It eats up all the bandwidth.
Oh, hush up. I like some Netflix. I mean, they have some nonsense out there. Netflix is all right sometimes. But anyway,
not for $27 a month. That's what they charge now.
I get you there. I don't pay for it. Somebody has me on their account. So.
I do.
Yeah,
yep, no, it's way too much.
Account.
Between Netflix is $27 a month, and Paramount's $14 a month, and Amazon Prime is $169 a year, and the list goes on and on and on. And on top of that, the freaking internet, or not the internet, the cable's $300+ a month. I mean, what do these people think we are? Bill Gates? We're gonna have to go back to just watching
the person
DVDs.
The person I'm talking about, Carrie Carpenter, she does all my flyers, all my artwork, all my cool stuff for social media, you know, for my challenge coins, my commanders, everything. She does it all. She's pretty good at it, but she has a fleece of mine. I keep wanting back, but it's irritating. It's a fleece that's the President's Emergency Operations Center. And I'm like, I want my fleece back, or you got to make me a new logo so I can put on a new fleece.
Well, that seems reasonable.
She's sitting right here. She can hear everything I'm saying, so I'm calling her out.
All right. Well, she's eating up all the bandwidth. I mean, she must be making some really impressive videos for your campaigns.
No. It's probably my computer or something like that because I am using wireless. Obviously, I don't have I'm
Todd,
not plugged into the router.
Did you see the United Arab Emirates is leaving OPEC?
Is that right? I did not see that. It's an interesting move. Right?
5 decades. It's a shocking move. 5 decades they've been involved with OPEC, and they're leaving.
That's a cartel.
Yeah, of course. That's the cartel that plunged the world into recession in 1973 because of the Yom Kippur War, which the Arabs launched. The Arabs launched it, and the Americans and the Soviets pushed both sides to end it, and then we were punished for it. Oh, what a bunch of sickos. We should never forget the behavior of the Arabs in 1973, pushing our country into recession because we're overly dependent on imported oil, which is ironic because we only produce a few million barrels a day. Now we produce like 14 million barrels per day. It's unbelievable. You know, it's we should never forgive or forget that behavior of the Arabs. And they did again in 79 with Iran. They tried the same crap. But UAE is leaving. Interesting because UAE gets along well with the United States. And amongst, I don't know if you saw this, but I think I mentioned at the beginning, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Conference is taking place. And it's a month long. and Iran was nominated to be the vice president, was selected to be the vice president of the Non-Proliferation Conference for the United Nations.
There's a war going on because you're proliferating nuclear material
Exactly.
or fissile material. Sorry.
Exactly. I mean, are you serious? That's but they showed in the UN TV the objections of the United States, of Australia, of the United Kingdom. Speaking for the three would be France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. The E3 they call themselves, and then the UAE also objected. They refused to agree with that selection of Iran. Interesting. So they side with the United States there. They're leaving OPEC, which in essence sides with the United States on capitalism. Interesting developments in the United Arab Emirates. So not all the Arabs in the Middle East are people that we should be weary of. Apparently, some people believe the same things we believe in.
Absolutely, and of course, I think the Saudis have come over even more to our side than they were, 10, 15 years ago.
Well, the Saudis have always been close allies to the U.S. There have been tensions from time to time.
Right.
I remember they all attacked the Bushes like, they're all in deep with the Saudis. Everybody's in deep with the Saudis. Roosevelt was in deep with the Saudis. Give me a break.
Right.
It's the nature of relations between the two countries.
Yeah, I went to Saudi probably about 6 times during the Bush-Cheney days, and a friend of mine, she's from Saudi Arabia, and she's told me before I went over there, she's like, Todd, listen to me. Be very careful with those people over there. I'm like, what do you mean, the Saudis? She said, yes, they're crazy. And I'm like, you're a Saudi. She's like, I know. I'm telling you from experience, they're crazy.
Hey, take her advice.
I can tell you that I lived in Saudi Arabia in a tent like a Bedouin for months on end. For months on end. And I lived in a hole in Kuwait.
I've been to the King's Desert Ranch out in the middle of nowhere, and I had a big smorgasbord of food just laid out before you. And it's like, well, anything you wanted to eat, they had servants bringing you your plates of food, whatever you wanted. They'd have somebody wipe your mouth if you wanted it. I mean, it was that intense.
That's just crazy.
You enjoyed your trip there, didn't you, Todd?
Yeah, I wiped my own mouth and everything else. I can tell you that. Okay, but the food.
So you didn't have an Eddie Murphy moment? Oh,
no, but the food. I just pointed at some of the food. I was like, "What's this? What's this?" And they just explain what it is, and they'd say, "In America, it's maybe close to this type of dish." I'm like, "I'll have that," and of course, ate some good chicken over there. I'm telling you, and there's some great cooks over there. We'll give them that.
So my wife's family is from Syria and Lebanon, and so I understand Mideastern cooking, and it's really good. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And they're like, "Do you like spicy? Do you not want spicy?" They're like, "Down there, spicy. This isn't so spicy. Right in the middle is right in the middle." So they had it laid out there. I said, "I'll stay down here in the shallow end. I don't want to do anything that's going to blow my stomach up, especially being out in the middle of the desert, miles away from Riyadh."
Yeah, well, I had enough of Saudi Arabia.
I imagine. So South Africa, any issues in South Africa we could talk about? Some of our viewers and the listeners, maybe because we haven't talked about South Africa thus far.
Well, it's something that relates to the U.S. and South Africa, specifically the African Union chairman, who's from Djibouti, has condemned the United States excluding South Africa from the G20, claiming that it's important for South Africa to be there. Well, here's the problem with that story. It's not. South Africa shouldn't even be in the G20. It's the G20, the grouping of the largest economies in the world. South Africa ranks 40th in the world. And when you place them on per capita income, they rank down around 60-something. They are a backwards country that's sliding backwards in a hurry because the macroeconomic policies and racist positions of the ruling party and its alliance with the other parties. Mm-hmm. They have no business in the G20, and to hear the AU make a statement condemning the United States, they're just asking for trouble. The African Union would not exist were did I say EU? I meant AU. The African Union would not exist were it not for the generosity of the United States and the European Union. We fund 85% of their operations. Their bureaucrats would starve and wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for our generosity. And so they have the audacity to threaten the United States, and they're going to compel us to invite South Africans. It's not going to happen. South Africa's not coming here. So wait, you're tilting against windmills.
So the African Union, NATO, the UN, what other organizations, multinational organizations, do we fund out there? I mean, quite a few.
The IMF, the World Bank,
right?
Yeah, there's plenty of others, but
wow. That's 5 huge entities right there. In the global scheme of things, right? I mean,
we don't fund the EU. We don't fund the EU.
No. But we subsidize it one way or another, at least through defense through NATO, right?
Yeah, we do.
In a roundabout way, right?
Well, and in fact, the president, my issue with the president's argument about NATO is I'd say back off the NATO issue. This really is an issue for the European Union, not for NATO. The Iran war is not a NATO issue. There's no Article 5 requirement for engagement by our partners because we initiated this conflict and our sovereignty is not a threat. We weren't attacked. We attacked someone. So there's an obligation for them to get involved. However, this is definitely a European Union issue. France, but specifically the UK, France, Italy are wildly dependent on the fuel that comes out of there. Spain, Italy, and France all depend on petroleum coming from there. And the one that's the least exposed is Germany. The least exposed because they get a lot of theirs from Kazakhstan and elsewhere. But the bottom line is that they are getting so much of their petroleum from that place that the Middle East, that if it wasn't for the United States precipitating this conflict, they would be getting all the oil they need. But the bottom line is that they're doing nothing to participate in ending Iran's threats to global security and regional security. Iran is obviously a threat to its neighbors. It has attacked every state around it except Russia, which would be very dumb to do. But they've attacked every state, and Pakistan the other
that's an
direction.
allied nation, right? But they don't attack Turkey, do they?
No, they haven't attacked Turkey yet. That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, Turkey is a NATO nation. That would risk NATO having an Article 5 responsibility to engage. But they've attacked Iraq. They've attacked Israel. They've attacked Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the UAE, Oman. They've attacked everybody in that direction. Kuwait, they've attacked. It's utter nonsense.
So what would happen if they did, say, attack Turkey? What do you think would happen? What would Turkey's response be, and how forceful could they be?
Well, Turkey has a pretty professional and powerful military. I suspect the Turks would probably retaliate, and they'd also demand politically, because NATO. People forget it's not just a military alliance; it's a diplomatic alliance.
True.
You have ambassadors there, so there's a diplomatic, political aspect to it, and they would go to the political side and demand an Article 5 intervention on the part of NATO partners, and Iran would suddenly be faced with 26 nations against it instead of 2. That's probably why they have not made any effort to attack Turkey. Otherwise, they would probably have to Turkey too, because we have U.S. bases there, and that's a concern for the Iranians. But look, these are just evil people. There's no two ways about it. It's just evil people. They need to be dealt with.
I agree. So, John, what are your thoughts on the global conflict?
As of right now, we were talking about it earlier. I mean, let's just squash the IRGC or IRCG. I always get it wrong.
Whatever.
Yeah. I think
big letters.
I think Trump is claiming that his blockade is working and he's starving Iran out, and now they're begging him to let freight move now so they can reorganize and restructure. He's claiming they're floundering around or twitching like a roadkill out there on the road or something, and he didn't describe it that way. I'm just going to ad-libbing. But the point is, he's saying they're basically in twitching mode and they need some relief and they want to rebuild and stuff. But yet, I think Chris is right. I think Iran has no intentions on honoring anything. I think if we don't squash them now, we got them with a week. We got them down. Finish it off. Kill them like a rabid dog. I'm using it as a metaphor. I don't mean just go kill anybody, but take out the IRGC. Take them out because they're the biggest threat. If we don't weaken them out, if we don't get them for regime change, they will come back in time. These are not forgetful people. When they are empowered again, they will be back for seconds, and it'll be the next generation that has to deal with it. Donald Trump will be long gone. You and I might be long gone by then, but our children are going to have to deal with that. So most definitely take them out. On the election, we were talking about the election earlier, and I think people need to understand this is a midterm election, and people are not really fond of coming out to vote in a midterm election. And I just want to put it out there, folks. If you're a Republican, you're a conservative, be there. This is the time to show up, because if you don't secure the House, if you don't secure the Senate, you are going to have 2 miserable years of impeachment and obstruction. It's going to get ugly. It's going to be nothing you're going to want to deal with, and they're going to impede on what efforts Donald Trump is trying to make, and he's doing some good works right now, and he's setting the world stage up for the United States. This is actually, regardless of what these turncoats say, this is an America First agenda. It's just that some people can't see the long game. So if you preserve the Republicans in the House and the Senate, we can get this done in his final 2 years and set things straight back in this country. And hopefully the next administration will be able to pick it up from there and do something with it.
So let me address that very quickly about that America First agenda. What's confused for some people, like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and others, is that they seem to think in America First, America isolationist. That's not what
Right.
America First means.
No.
America is the preeminent power on the planet. It forces us to be engaged in the world. It forces us to patrol the global sea lanes and lines of communication. If we don't, it harms America. And that's what's lost in these people. They're pretty dim-witted. They're chasing clicks and attention and money and fame. The reality here is that America must be engaged in the world. You cannot be an isolationist. That's not how things work. Just look at cryptocurrency. I can transfer billions of dollars right now in a flash of an eye from one place to another, and jurisdictions have no control over it. There's no sovereignty over it. And that's the way many things are in the modern world. So you have to be engaged in the world. You have to be present. And that's part of MAGA.
And that's it. That's our show. We'll be back next week at 7 Eastern right here on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. Until then, take care. God bless everybody.